In the Pits is partnered with 71 Designs, owned and operated by veteran Wade Martin, and partnered with fellow Texas brand Compete. 71 Designs can take your ideas for soft goods, merchandise, and casual wear and make them a reality. Message 71 Designs on Facebook or Instagram to get started today. In the Pits is partnered with Podrunners Union. Podrunners Union breaking news. Super limited Union Tech tees and, for the first time, Fiesta medals are available online at podrunnersunion.org. Use offer code PITS for 10% off of your order. Stealing pods for undeserving teams. It's a living. In the Pits is partnered with Mariachi Águilas de Oro. Based in Austin and servicing the surrounding areas, these golden eagles will bring life to any event you are having, from birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, corporate events, or even a simple performance to enjoy. Guillermo Padilla, one of their trumpet players, is also a member of the Texas paintball scene. Visit them on Facebook and Instagram to check out some of their past performances, or give them a call to book them for your event today. In the Pits is partnered with Skull Monkeys Paintball. Equip, engage, excel. In the Pits is partnered with XTPL Events. The Extreme Tournament Paintball League is a series put on by the Lukow family of Paintball Fit fame that gives the opportunity for players to learn and grow together as a team. 3-man, Challengers and Champions X-Ball, Draft Mech X-Ball, and even Youth 3v3. There's something for everyone at XTPL. Not to mention prize tosses, raffles, and the infamous paintball munching contest. Events happen throughout the year, and the prizes never disappoint. Sign up for an XTPL event today on PB Leagues. In the Pits is partnered with Hydra. Designed by players for players, you can outfit yourself in Hydra gear from head to toe. Have confidence that when you make a purchase from Hydra, you are purchasing a well-tested and well-thought-out product, trusted by several top teams, including first-place semi-pro team, PaintballFit.com. I personally recommend their Hydra Black knee pads. Purchases over $100 receive free shipping. Head to hydra.fit to browse their selection and discover the Hydra mentality. In the Pits is partnered with BEM Wraps. Behind every mask is a unique and creative player. Tap into it when you order your next custom headpiece. Their Build-A-Band lets you communicate with them one-on-one to make your order just the way you want, all the way down to the color of the stitch. Check out their Instagram at BEMWraps for drops and build videos of them working on orders. They offer very competitive pricing, so reach out today to get started on your own one-of-a-kind headpiece. In the Pits is partnered with Compete. Compete is a Texas-based brand by Jell Stewart of professional team AC Diesel that provides custom jerseys, pants, headbands, straps, tech shirts, and any other soft goods to help individuals and teams compete at the highest level. Support Texas Paintball and message Compete on Facebook or Instagram and mention In the Pits Podcast for 10% off your entire order. In the Pits is partnered with Get Dat Shot. Get Dat Shot now offers first-in-line photo and video editing, 20% off Get Dat Shot merch, and 20% off prints to all teams that wear the Get Dat Shot logo on their jersey. Message GetDat_shot on Facebook or Instagram to become a Get Dat Shot program team. In the Pits is partnered with Paintball Kumite. Paintball Kumite is a program designed by Colt Roberts of professional team San Antonio X Factor to take paintball players of all ages, experience levels, and skill groups and mold them into champions. The program breaks the game down into small, easy-to-learn sessions designed to help you master the fundamentals so that you can elevate your game. Newcomers to the program get a free 1-hour introductory class when mentioning In the Pits. To sign up for a class, message at Paintball Kumite on Instagram.
Drinking water all day at your tournaments and still feel tired? What if we could hydrate you from the cellular level? At BioWorks Mobile IV Service, our licensed professionals understand what it takes to get through a long day of exercise. We use all natural vitamins to increase hydration, recovery, and prolonged athletic endurance. Help your team get to the podium. Book now by texting the number on your screen or calling today. Call 972-948-8207 to book now. That's 972-948-8207. BioWorks. Hydrate, win, repeat.
There we go. Test, test. There we go. Now they can hear us. Welcome, everybody, to episode 90 of In the Pits Paintball Podcast. This podcast is focused on everything that has to do with the paintball scene here in Texas, from professional players and teams to new divisional programs, local tournament series, field owners, Texas-based brands, even photographers and videographers. Every week, we'll have a short and sweet episode with a new topic and a new special guest. I'm Christian Dallas Smith. I'm a player for the Texas Titans, and this episode, we're going in the pits with Corinne Baird, player for Dallas Vibe. And just to make sure I got your last name correct, it is Baird, correct?
Corinne Baird.
Awesome. So, Corinne, how are you doing this evening?
Doing all right. I got a little bit sick after the tournament, just kind of recovering, but I'm doing pretty good.
Well, sorry that you got sick, but it seems like with the amount of dust and all that was going around, pretty common appearance. I know but my team and my wife got sick, so we're all just kind of recovering from Vegas. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into it. Looks like Chris Harrison's in the chat. Chris says, "What's up? Let's go Vibe. Great job this past weekend."
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, so this first question is brought to us by XTPL Events. So for those listening that maybe don't know about you, how long have you been involved in the tournament paintball scene?
I've been involved since 2016, 2017. I went right into playing X-Ball. Started playing beginner and in local league in Canada, the OPL. And from there, I moved up to the D3 division. And just been kind of continuing to move up, increase my goals, and try and get on the highest level of play I can.
Oh, that's quite a big jump. I definitely want to talk about that here in a little bit. So what teams have you played for since your start in 2016, 2017?
I primarily played for the Toronto Chargers originally, and since then I've been on Vibe, and then played a couple local league tournaments with a couple other teams like Devious and things like that.
Okay, gotcha. But it's pretty much, for the most part, been with the Chargers?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, that's a trend that we're seeing more and more nowadays. Now that programs are sticking around for longer, it seems that players are sticking together for like 3, 4, 5+ years, and seems to help with their overall growth as a player.
Pretty much, it's almost better to grow as a team and like as a camp base to kind of move your players up, because like a lot of the time at the higher levels, communication and like teamwork plays a really big part of the success. So the longer you're with those people, then like the better your team will get as a whole.
For sure, I 100% agree with that. So this question's brought to us by Skull Monkeys Paintball. So tell us, what got you into paintball to begin with?
The first time I saw paintball was at an indoor rec field in Mississauga. It was called DEF CON Paintball. And it literally was just all sand on the ground and had big concrete pillars everywhere. And I saw people playing that, and I was like, I don't know what this is. What is it about? And the owner there had a team that they ran, which was the Toronto Chargers. And he brought me out to their practices. They were originally playing D4 X-Ball and D2 X-Ball in the NXL. And I watched them play, and I instantly was hooked. I thought it was a really creative thing. You got to do both like athletic things, and I also find it's like an athletic chess game is the way I kind of say it. So I just originally started as a pod runner and working in the pits of those teams, and eventually after enough begging, I was able to start playing paintball.
Nice. So were you friends with the owner, or how did you get connected with them?
So I connected with the owner. We started actually dating. And so I came out to his workplace one day after I was finished work, and that was kind of how it started. And I dated him for a few years and kind of helped with the overall logistics of the team. And it kind of just moved forward from there. But I've always been hooked with it as soon as I saw it.
Nice. Yeah. It's interesting that so many people have no idea what paintball is, as like more than just like a birthday party or fun, like, corporate get together thing. But as soon as the bug bites, they're like all in, and nothing is quite like it.
Yeah, it's definitely like some people, like when you first tell them, oh, I'm going to go play paintball, you have to explain like almost like what type of paintball you're playing. So like when you're playing speedball, it's like, yeah, I'm shooting paintballs really fast at people on a blow up airfield.
Yeah, yeah, it's nothing like all the TV shows out there. They usually have a paintball episode in there somewhere, but like we have to kind of disclaim that it's like, oh, it's nothing like that at all.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of a bit more of a real sport, but it's not quite up there with all of the other sports. But it's definitely not just running around like those TV shows show.
I mean, that's the goal one day is to get it up there with the NFL and MLB and NHL and all that. One day.
Yeah, one day. That's definitely why I assume or I know that they started with the women's league and the men's league, because in order to put it into the Olympics, you have to have a men's and a women's division. So that's definitely one of the bigger factors as to why they started the WXL.
For sure, and we'll see what happens with the whole Olympic thing. I know Tom Cole said that kind of they missed the cut for I think the upcoming U.S. Olympics, but then there's another one I think like 8 years or 12 years down the line, so maybe we'll get another shot.
Maybe. Never know what's gonna happen in 12 years.
Oh yeah. So this next question is brought to us by Pod Runners Union. So what are some things that you notice have changed within the paintball scene, either for better or for worse, over the time that you've been in?
There hasn't been too many changes. What I have noticed is like the level of play of the players have definitely increased over the years. So while things may have started like to be like a little easier, like when I first joined the WNXL, you could definitely see the division of some of the different teams, like some of the lower base teams and higher base teams. But even now, like it's a lot more of a challenge to be able to make that Sunday or win those tournaments, because just the level of play of players and like people helping those players get better is continuing to grow.
Oh yeah, and I think that's from the top down. You see that in the pro bracket where every point matters. If you miss, like, if you drop a point or you don't score against a lower level team, then suddenly your Sunday position's in jeopardy. And you see that all the way down to D3, D4, D5. And I think kind of going back to what we were saying about programs sticking around longer, it's largely because players are sticking together for longer periods of time, and suddenly the communication's a whole lot better. Who would have thought?
Like the programs are growing their sister teams underneath, and there's a lot more players that are willing to stick around and help those younger division players kind of like bounce up. So you see a lot of players that have just joined the last like 2 to 3 years, and they're almost already at the level of some of those higher division players.
Oh yeah, I sometimes think back to when I first started paintball in 2015, and I had to figure it all out myself. I didn't have anybody there to teach me like the fundamentals or the basics, and it just took me so much longer to get to where I am now. Whereas players that are joining like this year, last year, like pretty much post COVID, they've got people that are willing to teach them, and not just, hey, there's a new player, let me go overshoot them because I have a chance to overshoot somebody, and I don't get that chance very much. And now we're seeing the huge growth, not only within the organizations, but in the sport as a whole.
For sure. You definitely see people willing to like grow the sport, as everyone's been saying a lot more lately. It's just like you really see people kind of giving back to the sport and wanting to just grow it as a whole.
Definitely. I mean, looking at the NXL, like they just sold out Vegas. The USXBL just sold out their event that's here in 2 weeks. You're seeing more and more events around the country that are selling out faster and faster and having bigger divisions, bigger cash prizes. It just seems to like what's the saying? All boats rise with the tide. So let's see here. So this next question is brought to us by BEMRAP. So despite your going on 6-year career in paintball, at least according to PB Leagues, you've only really been with the Toronto Charges. So what was it that kept you with the same program for so long?
Well, there's a couple things. So for starters, I was obviously dating the owner, so it probably promoted me to stay within the program a little longer. I also kind of just believed in the idea that you can grow as a team, and obviously they're like in the higher divisions or even in the pro level, you'll find like those couple players getting picked off to join those teams. But in terms of like in a whole team, like Paintball Fit or Blast Camp, like you grow as a team and you continue to improve. So I kind of just had that mindset that I'll continue to be a better player or grow as long as my team continues to grow. So I kind of just use that to kind of base what I wanted to do with my paintball career so far at that point, and it worked out to where I am now. It allowed me to grow as a player, and I made a lot of really good connections when I was there.
Awesome. So this next question is brought to us by Mariachi Aguilas de Oro. So you made the jump from beginner 5v5 right to D3X. So that is not an easy jump for anybody who's not familiar. D3 is definitely one of the divisions where true levels of team play start to come into like be a huge factor. So what was that transition like for you?
Originally the transition it is a pretty big transition. When I first played beginner, we had a 2-pod limit and a hopper limit. And then I'd made the jump to D3X ball. And at that point, you're able to use as many pods as you want. And I originally was like, where do I put all my pods? I was only allowed 2. Where do you know how like everyone's got the like, I like my 2 extra pods on the side, 2 on the back. It's kind of like I had to figure that out. But the jump itself was pretty big. But originally when I was playing beginner, I felt above other people in my paintball IQ and some of my skills that I had in terms of how I was playing. And because I was around paintball for many years before I started actually playing, and I learned from a D2 X-Ball team. So I learned at a pretty high level playing with them. So it was kind of just get yourself into playing in a tournament paintball series, into the scene, see how that goes. I think we ended up winning overall as well in that division. And from there, I was told to just make the jump and go from there, because at the time we didn't have full teams within the Toronto Chargers camp. Like we had like the beginner team, and then we had the D4 team, which was kind of an established team already, where we had some open space on our D3 team. So that allowed me to make the jump from there. And it really just shows you where that division is, and you've got to work harder to be in that division. So that kind of just kicked myself into gear and just kind of pushed me to like a higher level in my career, doing more drills, kind of making me realize that I want to be in the top of that starting 5 in that division. So how am I going to do that?
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So you skipped over other players that were also within your program. Would you recommend like anybody who's starting out today, maybe they're playing beginner right now, would you recommend they do the same jump, or do you think it would be wiser for them to kind of go up the divisions one by one?
I would honestly recommend going up the divisions one by one. I think what I did is not ordinary. It's kind of rare what I did. I'd recommend going up the divisions because each division allows you to learn more and gain more experience. So you can learn so much from sitting on the sidelines or like watching teams play, but the amount of experience you get on the field, or just the amount of points that you can play in the lower divisions, like that's where that's where you get the most experience. Like you can play point after point, and like that's better to learn than I think just jumping and just being on a team to be on a team.
Definitely. I had somewhat of a similar experience. So when I first played, I was playing in the NCPA, which is the collegiate division in the US. And in college, there are no like divisions based on ranking. It's just if you're a full-time student, then you get to be on the team. So unfortunately in Texas, that meant I was going up against players that are now on Houston Heat and AC Diesel. So I was going up against Devin Stewart and Nico Hyde and a couple of those guys. And it was just not fun. But at the same time, like it forced, you were given D5 points. So even though I spent 3 years just getting destroyed by pros, I wasn't really learning anything. And by the time I graduated, I was ranked D4, and once you're ranked up, you can't go back. So I definitely would recommend for anybody who thinks, oh, I want to, grab all the points that I can. If I have a lot of APPA points, it means I'm a better player and other people will see me as a better player. Nope, definitely don't do that. Take your time, enjoy Division 5 while you can, enjoy Division 4 while you can. Don't feel the need to play up. Because there are definitely lessons to be learned within each division. And if you don't learn those before getting up into like higher D3, D2, even semi-pro, then it's going to be so much tougher, A, for you to play local events, period, and B, to acquire, like, kind of catch up to everybody else who's actually where they belong.
For sure. Second that.
Here in the chat, Doc says, hey, good job this weekend, vibe.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All the girls and I are very excited about it.
Definitely. So this next question is brought to us by Paintball Kumite. So at the end of 2022, you pretty much finished competing in the OPL to focus exclusively on the WNXL, and you only played one OPL event last year. So is your focus pretty much just on the national scene nowadays, or are you still looking for ways to do both?
I am looking for ways to do both. I did focus more on doing WNXL just for a lot of it is financial reasons. So coming from Canada, going to the US, it costs a little bit more with the Canadian dollar, and also playing for a team that is not from Canada requires me to go to practices in Dallas, and those also cost money to book plane tickets. It's something I committed to, and it's something I'd like to follow through with. But the local scene here in Ontario, playing the OPL, is definitely a fun time, and there's definitely some good players here in Canada as well. So this season, I'm going to try find a way to do both, as I found with the women only playing event 1, 3, 5, or 1, 4, and 5 like last season, just the 3 events, was just not enough tournament level paintball. Like, you can only learn so much from going to a practice and just kind of going through the motions, but I find you learn different lessons playing tournament paintball than you do just going to an open play practice.
100%. Yeah, those reps at events just mean so much more than just doing your practice, because in practice there's so many other factors, like the paint's not nearly as good most of the time. Players can sometimes maybe not be as honest with you in practice. Sometimes you're not going at 100% because you're trying to either preserve yourself from an injury or just it's the environment's not the same. Definitely. So with you, are you able to get into other local leagues? Like, have you explored like competing in the Tri-State X-Ball League at all? Or are you pretty much just sticking with the OPL and the WNXL for now?
Currently, that's where I'm focused on. I would definitely love to try and see other like local leagues that aren't just in Canada as to like how they run, because I've only really been a part of the OPL and then the WNXL, but the Tri-State, even the USXP, USXPTL. Nope, that's not it. Anyway, any of the Texas scenes, I'd be interested in coming down, because I know the girls come and play those events as well. So more time that I can get with my my teammates, the better we can work on our chemistry and be around each other. But currently, with financials and how everything else is going, probably just sticking with OPL and WXL this year.
Gotcha. Well, if the recent results have shown in the NXL, if you ever find an opportunity to get some extra competition in Texas, that's definitely the place to do it, because the Texas teams have definitely been putting the rest of the nation, rest of the NXL on notice with their results this past weekend. I mean, not just yourself, but teams from top to bottom. I've been doing like kind of keeping track of all of the Texas-based teams' results in the NXL, and it's not. Let's just say it's obvious that the best paintball is played in Texas.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that. Coming in from a different area, the it's people have asked like what's the difference in play style, and Canadian paintball to like somewhere like Texas paintball, it's different. Like it's kind of hard to explain what's different about it, but like it's the way people play. It's like the aggression people have in Texas, and I guess their passion that they have that you can really see shine through when you're there.
Definitely. And I think part of it is also just the amount of pros that we now have in Texas. I mean, a quarter of the pro NXL league are based in Texas. Houston Heat, Austin Notorious, San Antonio X Factor, AC Diesel, and Paintball Fit. So just having that amount of experience, and so many more of them are getting involved with their local teams, that the knowledge is getting passed down to us. And I think that's really helping Texas just kind of grow at a faster pace than anywhere else in the country.
Yeah, I noticed even being at Paintball Fit, like there's separate teams that play on the field, but at the end of the day, like everyone is actually on the same team. Like everyone is willing to be like, hey, you bounced me on that shot, or like bring your thing up here, or why didn't you make this move here? Versus where I am here, it's more like, hey, this is my team. We're here. That's your team. Oh, you bounced me. I didn't get out, or things like that. So it's just really a big community out there in Texas.
100%. Doc here in the chat also brings up another good point. He says that Texas hands down has the advantage because they play day and night. I mean, there are a lot more night ball facilities here, which thanks to Paintball Fit for kind of kicking that off.
Oh, 100%. I love playing nightball. It's such a unique experience. Everyone's got to try it at least once.
Here in the chat also, Katie Harrison from the Dallas Dolls, she asks, is there youth teams in Canada?
I don't think we have too many youth teams out here in Canada. There are some younger kids playing, but they do play on their own teams. I think there is a youth division, but there's not as much growth in the youth teams here in Canada. They're kind of just mixed in a little bit.
Gotcha. Well, we'll see if that, hopefully that changes with the rising youth movement across the country.
Yeah, 100%. There's so many young kids coming in, and they're all so good, like right away.
Definitely. So this next question is brought to us by BioWorks IV, who's going to be doing IV services, house calls up in Dallas for the Lone Star Major. So reach out to him. Use the phone number that was in the pre-roll ads right before this episode started. Book him for IV services. I know that a couple of pro teams, a couple of other teams like Enemy of the State, they did it in Vegas. And they were all very happy. So yeah, this question is, to be a professional female athlete, what does that lifestyle look like for you? Do you have a specific training or drill regimen you do throughout the year? And do you have any advice for any girls or women out there looking to make it big in paintball one day?
So for me, it's slightly different throughout the year. Being here in Canada, we do have snow, and we do have what's truly called an off season. All the fields here in Ontario close down, and there are no fields within at least a 4 to 6 hour drive in terms of indoor play through the winter season. So I pretty much can't play paintball unless I travel somewhere. In terms of my like day to day or my like fitness things, I'm working out every day, going for runs about like 3 to 4 times a week. And then during the off season, I have my gun in my hand almost every day, just doing snap shooting against kind of the doorposts, or I'll put on my pads and do slide drills just in my living room. And then throughout the actual season, for me, it's about a 2 hour drive to get to any paintball field. So I try at least every weekend or every other weekend to get out and go play kind of an open play. Drills, I kind of just do like regular snap shooting. I like to practice kind of the like quick ups to try and get my off the break shooting a bit faster. And for advice for any girls or women out there trying to get to that pro division or just make it big, is just keep looking up, keep dreaming, kind of keep pushing forward, and always have a goal in mind, and even if it's start with a small goal and work your way up to a bigger goal, and find a mentor. I think is something that can really help you out. So having someone that has more experience than you to kind of coach you through any kind of points you're playing, or just be there as someone to kind of bounce ideas off of, I think is really important in any sport you play.
Absolutely. Yeah, that mentorship thing is huge. And there's so many more women in paintball now that are definitely available. All you got to do is reach out to them on Facebook or Instagram, whatever. And I'm sure they'd be more than happy to, answer your questions or help you out however it is that you need in order to help you get started on your path.
Pretty much every female WXL player I have met is super nice. Everyone is willing to help someone else out. So never be afraid to just send a message out to anyone, even if they're not even in your area. Like if it's someone that you just like look up to and you just think is really cool, like definitely send a message out. I'm sure they'd be willing to talk to pretty much anyone.
For sure. All right. So this next question is brought to us by FU Athletics. So, what has been your favorite moment in your career so far?
I think my favorite moment has really just been recently. I think it was really like winning this past event has probably been one of my favorite moments that I had. It really hit me emotionally. I think going into the tournament, we had one of our rougher practices on the Thursday, or that's how I felt personally, and a couple of my other teammates did. And my coach just said, we always just struggle in the practice, and if you struggle in the practice, then you're probably going to do good in the tournament. But in your head, you're always like, I don't know, we had a really bad practice, so it's not going to go well, and it kind of just all rolled together. And I felt personally pretty good with how I was playing, and to get that final like win in an overtime was pretty sweet. We had a couple overtimes in the past. I think it was in Chicago. We went into 3 overtimes, and every single one of those we lost. So to be able to go to this overtime and win it has been it's been pretty rewarding.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's crazy how true that is most of the time for anybody who has a rough practice right before the event. That's usually when you want to have the rough experience. Is that they show you, or maybe the team's just better than you, or they show you different things that you weren't expecting, and you get better lessons on the field layout. I mean, with us being only on one layout weekend now, it seems that if you get the wrong read at practice, then there's not much helping you until you learn the lesson the hard way when you lose your first 2 prelim games, and then you might not make it out. So, yeah, definitely better to learn those lessons earlier rather than later.
For sure.
Here in the chat, Cooper Harrison asks, what are some of the main fields up in Canada?
See, some of our bigger fields we have is there's Adrenaline Paintball out in Melbourne. There's Wasaga Beach Paintball in Wasaga Beach. There's Soldiers of Fortune in Hamilton. There's Cameron's Paintball, which is also in the Hamilton area. I think that's, as far as I know, most of the bigger fields. There's obviously a couple smaller fields, but that's currently some of the bigger name fields in Ontario.
Cool. All right. So this next question is brought to us by 71 Designs. So Dallas Vibe has now won 2 events in a row. What do you attribute that to?
I think it's a couple different things. So one, it's kind of just, I think it has a lot to do with just the way the girls grind in the off season. A lot of the girls play every single weekend. They've been playing in the local tournaments. Our coach Rich has been getting us almost every week to do, after every practice, you have to do exit drills. You also are given fitness challenges that we have to do. So he'll just send it in a message and be like, okay, this person, this person, this person, here's your workouts for the week type thing that you have to do on top of your own thing. And then our recent philosophy that I don't know if it's contributing to, but it's definitely something we've done differently, is in all of our practices, we are playing each other. So we have about 10 girls on the team. Sometimes we'll have a couple of the other players mix in, a couple of the guys mix in. But it's 5 vibe girls against 5 vibe girls. And we do that the layout weekend leading up. And we did that for Cup, which we won. And we also did that for Vegas, which we also won. So I think it allows the girls to get more reps on the field rather than just sending out 5 girls against some random other team, which we also do a few points against other teams, but we primarily send girls versus girls of the vibe girls. So I think it gets us more looks, and it also gives you a partner on the other side of the field to be like, hey, your paint's too high, or I saw this move that like we could also make type thing. So I think that has to do a little bit with some of our success that we've had, because we've done it twice now. So I think we're going to stick to it.
Definitely. Yeah, the more reps is such a key thing, and not just more reps, but more high quality reps where you're getting that instant feedback that you can immediately apply to the next rep. But the whole more reps thing all the time I see, and it's one of the biggest pet peeves of mine, is players at the end of practice, what they'll do, they'll just ramp their gun until their hopper's empty and then go pack up. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, that's 200 reps that you just wasted of snap shooting that you could have done, or, you know, 50 reps of pulling up and shooting 3 or 4 balls for a breakout lane. Like those reps are definitely very valuable. And if you take advantage of every single moment that you have, it's crazy how much faster you can get better.
Especially with only having the one weekend on the layout now. It like you only get the one weekend. Well, you get from the Wednesday until the actual event leading up. But for most players, that means Saturday and Sunday. The odd team, like I come down for Friday night ball, so we'll get the extra kind of night on the layout there. But for most teams, it's just that's the time you have, and that's the amount of reps you can get on the layout. So you better take every opportunity you can to just be on the layout and just understand every shot you need to make.
Definitely. So on top of that, whenever you play yourselves, are you pretty much just playing points? Or are you structuring it in a way where you're doing like progressions or breakout drills or like D side or snake side only, things like that before you get into points?
We do a lot of we'll do the breakouts to start, and we do primarily points against each other. I don't want to give away all our secrets we have that we do in our layout weekends, but it's primarily points against each other.
Gotcha, for sure. Yeah, I mean, if you've got 10 bodies to do it, then there's no reason that you shouldn't be doing it. Just get all 10 players on the field learning at the same time, and you very quickly, because you know each other, you kind of know, hey, this player is going to tend to move up the center early on, or expect this player to run the snake and just crawl all the way, things like that. So because of that, you're able to kind of go through the thought process of how do I counter that? And it'll help you definitely learn the field a lot faster.
Yeah, there's also another factor that some people might not consider is a female paintball player plays a slight bit different from a male paintball player. They like the way we run, the way we dive, the way we snap shoot. It's just a slight bit different than how a male does it. So to be able to play against or shoot against female paintball players, because that's what we are playing when we get out there. We are playing the WNXL, which means we are playing against an all-female team the entire tournament. So while there are benefits to playing against male teams, which we do as well, because they give us some different looks, it's definitely been a help to play against female paintball players, because that's what you're primarily playing when we go down and play.
Interesting. Do you have, I guess, any more details? Like, what do you mean as far as women playing slightly differently? Are there any specific things that you can point out?
So for example, it's just the level of like play. So like women paintball players, like we are growing as a sport, or as the female paintball player. But in terms of how many males are in the sport to how many females are in the sport, it's kind of growing a bit slower. So if you were to take, and this is no insult to any female team, but if you were to take a female pro paintball team and put them against the male pro paintball team, it's not quite at the same level in terms of like the WNXL, we are ranked as Division 4. That's where the pro females are put in, where the males are put in as a pro ranking. So those pro paintball players are not able to go play Division 4, Division 3 if they would like to. But in terms of growing the female sport, it allows us to go play D3, D4, but that's something that a pro paintball player, a male player, would not be able to do. So it's just to play against a female player, the way that I've learned paintball in terms of like a paintball IQ, it's like wrap and shoot or just things that like not every female player, in the WNXL has learned from a male counterpart. So it's an own evolution of how to play the game of paintball. So we're all playing it the same kind of way, but like in terms of how I learned from playing with men. So the way I play is like from a bit more of a male perspective, but the way females play is just like its own. I don't know. It's a little bit different than playing just against strictly males.
Interesting. So you basically like the meta is a little bit different whenever you play with females instead of men.
Yeah, like just the way the play goes is just slightly different.
Gotcha. In your opinion, do you think that women should also like take advantage of whatever opportunities that they have to maybe play a lot like with their local team as well, if it's like a male team, just to get that extra experience on the field?
Oh, 100%. I think if you have the option to play both with males or on a local team and play with the females, I think it's just a slightly different perspective. I primarily learned playing on a male team, and then to come into the female division, it just allowed me to kind of flourish as a player. And also, since a lot of the WNXL is a new kind of division, males have been around a lot longer. So typically in the higher levels, the paintball IQ of some of the higher pro teams, which are primarily all males, paintball IQ is a thing. Like there's a lot that you can learn from a male perspective in terms of what paintball IQ is, not necessarily that they are just better than girls. Because like the girls are pretty good. They just have a little bit more paintball IQ because they've been around for longer.
Definitely. All right. In the chat, let's see. Doc says, and I guess going back to when we were talking about women reaching out to other WNXL players out there, says players are still people regardless of title. Asking questions never hurts. They were once asking the same questions themselves.
Yep, 100%.
And then Angie Tejeda is here in the chat saying, "What's up to you?"
What's up, Angie? How you doing, girl?
Angie, I think she almost got me canceled like last week. So good to see you, Angie. Please don't get me canceled this time. All right. So so talking to your coach, Rich Addicks, he said that the finals MVP went to Michaela, but that you were the overall MVP across the event. So in your opinion, what was his reasoning?
I think I just played pretty well. I was getting kills off the break. My communication, I primarily played like the home position, and then I either filled out behind Michaela or I'd go and play in front of her. We kind of played a 1-2 on that side, depending on who was able to go into that front position. And I was able to pull off 2v5 in the semifinals. And I think I just played, like I felt really good the whole weekend with how I was playing. Like it felt like it was flowing, and it just felt like a really good tournament for me.
All right. Yeah. Just super solid play all weekend long. I love to hear it. Yeah. Angie saying that, that you definitely balled out. So yeah, there it is. Here, let me check in the chat one more time. Let's see. All right. So this next question is brought to us by Hydra. So looking to the future, the WNXL is now on a bit of an off season. Last year, they played the first event and then didn't come back until Chicago. I think you were saying before we started the show that They might come back for the Mid Atlantic major this year instead of waiting all the way till Chicago. So, what are your plans until then?
Then I am going to be playing in the OPL when that starts. I feel like the first event is in May. Yeah, the first event's in May. So until then, my local fields in Ontario have finally opened up. It's finally nice here in Canada, so we can go out and play. So I'm gonna finally, when they got some open plays, go and play some of those, and really just drill and continue to work out at home. And if I can get a chance to go out and play in Texas before the next layout comes out, gonna do that. And I'm gonna try and get on a team, I think, to play NXL Dallas. So if you need a player, hit me up.
All right, yeah, I'll help you get the word out for sure. There's definitely a lot of teams in Texas that are gonna try to defend home court in Dallas here in a couple weeks. It's crazy how like Vegas just ended and we're already like 6 weeks away from Dallas. It's the schedule's so front loaded this year. It's crazy.
Yeah, the event coming fast. Even the first event, Vegas, I was waiting for it, and then just the next time the layout was out, and then layout weekend, and then Vegas, like it just came really fast. Now the turnaround for the next one is also pretty quick.
Oh yeah, and that's not even here. So here in Texas, there's also a lot of local events that are happening between now and then. Like this, not this weekend, but next weekend is USXBL weekend, and then I think there's like one or two XTPLs thrown in there as well, and an HTPS before the NXL Dallas layout weekend. So it's just nonstop between now and then.
Recommend if you can jump on any of those teams to get more tournament experience, then find a local team to get on and get out there and play, because tournament paintball is the best way to learn for sure.
Definitely. All right. So the Angie in the chat, she says we got 3 so far, so hit us up. I'm assuming that's for Dallas.
All right, Angie, I'll message you.
All right, love it. Okay, so this question is brought to us by Get Dat Shot. So message GetDat_shot on Facebook or Instagram if you're needing photos or reels coverage at USXBL here in 2 weeks. Also hit up Enrique Gonzalez Photography for reels or video edits for that event. So Corinne, this is the question that I ask everybody that comes on the show. Is there anybody in paintball, either teams, players, brands, or projects that have caught your attention lately? Who do you think deserves more recognition for what they're doing?
Honestly, I think any of the videographers and photographers out there that are showcasing paintball is share, like, respond, continue to kind of praise those people that are on the sidelines. Same thing like the Pod Runners Union or any of those pod runners. Like it's crazy how much you don't think about the support within the pits. So all of the staff that help out, the pod runners that help out, like if you didn't have those in your pits or with your teams, like it would be a completely different experience. Just I just watching some of the recent people out there. There's a local Canadian videographer that has been going to things. His name's James D, and he gets some of the most unique video content that I've seen. He'll literally stand directly behind the start gate or directly behind a player and get shot like anywhere from like 30 to 100 times just to get a clip. And he's recently he does a lot of content on Leverage, semi-pro Leverage, and he does the Royal City Sea Dogs as well. But he recently has been going to more events, and he does a lot of our stuff here in Ontario as well. And I think just any of the paintball content in terms of video and photography is just really caught my attention lately. It's just anytime you're scrolling on Facebook, like that's all I see. It's just like I want to see more of that content, and I think any of those people deserve more recognition and praise for what they're doing. And same thing like in the pits. I think having more recognition for your pod runners and your pit staff is something that needs to be kind of showcased a little bit more.
100%. Yeah, the fastest way to lose a game is to lose in the pits. You will 100% lose a match if your pits are chaotic or anything's going wrong in there. And there's very few times where players can overcome that just based on their on the field play.
Hmm. Yeah, if you don't have paintballs, then you can't play paintball. So if you don't have those pods filled, or you don't have air in your gun, then yes, it's on you as a player, but sometimes you need that extra help to kind of get yourself turned around, especially if you're a team that has that kind of short roster and you only have 6 or 7 people, then you kind of need that extra family behind you to keep you going.
Definitely. I mean, just you know how tight those matches get, especially deep into Sunday. Now imagine you go out there with a hit on your pack that you didn't wipe off, and suddenly you and a friend are walking off the field when they didn't earn that kill. Things like that can definitely throw matches.
Yeah, or we've had in the past. I happen to look at my gauge, and I see that I've got 2,000. And I'm like, oh no, I need to get air right before the point, or else like there's nothing worse than being in the middle of a point and you have no air left.
Yep. I think we saw that in it happened to Dynasty, I think in Dallas, where Greenspan went out into overtime, grabbed someone else's marker. I think he grabbed Oliver's marker, and it didn't have any air in it, and they lost that point because of it.
Yeah.
All right, so we look in the chat here for any final questions. I think that let's see. Doc says Glowball is also coming up, he which they combine kind of everybody onto big 15-person lines, and they divide the three, I guess. They have like a line A, line B, line C on each of the teams, which is divided up by skill level. So you can have anybody from kids and new players to like local pro players like that are on fit. So if you're trying to come to a fun event, definitely hit up a Glow one. I think there's one coming up at the end of March.
Yeah, I remember watching the first one of that, and then when they posted up that they were going to have them like all throughout the season, I was like, man, I gotta make one of those. It looks super cool.
Definitely. Yeah, I can confirm I've been to 2 of them now, and I want to go back for more. See, your coach is here in the chat. He asks, twice in a row now you have faced the Heroines in the prelims and lost to them. Can you talk about that rivalry and those matches?
The Heroines are definitely a really good team. Every time we match up with them, it's a pretty big rivalry. It opens your eyes as to what other teams are doing on the field and how it goes. And it's very eye-opening for us. With this event, we were able to get a record of 5-1 with every other team we played. And with Heroines, they were doing pretty much the same against them, so against the other teams. So to go up against them, it was kind of already a Sunday paintball kind of match. And we fell a little short in that one, but not by much. It was 2-1. And it really kind of focused us as to what that final game was. It kind of motivated us. At World Cup, we lost to them in the prelims. And we went and faced them in the semis, and we won, and it allowed us to go on and play that finals game. So we were feeling that we lost to them again into the prelims this time, and it only motivated us to know that we could probably win against them going into Sunday. We did not match up with them. We did play the Cheetahs instead. But it's the same type of game, and we're always going to continue to have those rivalries in paintball. But off the field, we're all really good friends.
For sure. Yeah, there's always that one team that you're like, all right, this is the game that we have highlighted on our schedule. And it definitely feels like going in, you're like, all right, we're gonna fight for every point, and if we win by 1, then we're just happy to get out of that game.
It's like I said, it's that one is always we've matched up against them now twice, and always that one is it's definitely a grinder. They've got some really good players on that team, and it really just motivates us to do better as our own team.
Definitely. All right, so I think that just about does it for our show. This final question is brought to us by Compete, which is Jell Stewart's brand. Message him on Facebook or Instagram and mention In the Pits for 10% off of your order of soft goods. So, Corinne, thank you so much for your time. Do you have any last shout outs or things you'd like to say before we sign off?
too much. Keep grinding. See you guys at the next one, and let's go.
All right, I love it. So that does it for our show. Thank you, Corinne, and thank you everybody online so much for tuning in. Be sure to go follow Corinne at Corinne S. Baird on Instagram. All one word. So what other guests would you all like to see on the show? Be sure to leave a comment down below. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button. The show goes live weekly here on youtube.com/@inthepitspaintballpodcast, and recordings are posted to YouTube, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify the next day. Shout out to my partner and sponsor tier subscribers on Patreon: FU Athletics, Get Dat Shot, Paintball Kumite, Compete, Them Raps, Skull Monkeys Paintball, Hydra, XTPL Events, Mariachi Águilas de Oro, Podrunners Union, 71 Designs, and Bioworks IV. We will see you guys next week for episode 92, which will be a preview to the upcoming USXBL event. Stay tuned for the schedule there. Corinne, thank you so much.
Good night.